All right, boys and girls, we're getting started a little bit late here. The LSU game was way closer than I thought it'd be. Otherwise, I'd have started putting out videos earlier. I expected it to be a blowout, but it ended up being 23-20. We ended up winning, so it's all good. Got Alabama in 2 weeks. We'll see how that goes for any of you college fans out there. That's going to be a big game, always is. But I wanted to start with kind of a shorter video, is what I think it's going to be, but a pretty funny one. This one is about clapping being banned, or I don't think they actually ended up banning it, but they highly suggest banning it, and look down on not using jazz hands apparently in Oxford. This is in the UK, and I wanted to say before I started that I actually don't normally like making videos about other countries when it comes to I would say just their society in general, things like this. Because I don't know. I'm not there every day. I really hate it because there's a lot of people from the UK or England and in general, however they want to say it. The people from the UK get so butthurt about that, where it's like, I'm not from England, I'm from London, or however. I can't do an English accent. I hate it. But they lose their mind over that, and then but apparently whenever they get on YouTube, they become experts about every other country, and they'll let you know about each and everything that's going on in your society. So I really hate making comments about theirs. You may know who I'm talking about if you follow other people who do this kind of thing. But the reason I bring this up is because this has happened a few months ago in the U.S., I believe it was. So it's kind of relevant to us. Anyway, let me read some of this. Clapping is now considered anxiety trigger. Jazz hands to replace applause at Oxford. If anybody remembers this, that's what I was talking about. There was a Democratic Socialist Convention that was just a big old cluster. You know what? No one is clapping for me. It could be because I'm not engaging. And then he goes on to say, it's because they want them to use jazz hands, or I think they said at some point snapping maybe, and there were people in the crowd saying that it triggers their anxiety and stuff like that. And Jesus Christ, these people are talking about pushing socialism and taking over, but they can't even take clapping. This was a different video that I'm a little late on, so I'm not going to end up making this video. But this is happened a couple months ago. Everybody saw it. It was big news. That's why I wanted to bring it up, and that's why I think it's relevant to this other article, and why I wanted to talk about it. The student union at the prestigious University of Oxford has voted to put an end to clapping. Instead of putting hands together to celebrate something, students are now being encouraged to pull them apart, throw them in the air, and do what's called jazz hands. When celebrants shake their hand in the air, Metro reported, Oxford isn't the only institute of higher learning to silence claps. The University of Manchester passed a similar rule last year, the Telegraph reported. Manchester added the suggestion to inclusion training for new students, according to the Telegraph. The change is to help those who have anxiety, may be triggered by loud noises. Clapping, it may cause an issue for those with sensory sensitivity and those with hearing aids, Oxford Student Union said. Jazz hands are a British sign language movement for applause. The use of sign language will be encouraged at events by the Oxford Student Union. The group is now lobbying the school to replace jazz hands at all university events. And I think I got the wrong article, because there was another article that said they were also worried about jazz hands. They were thinking about doing something else, maybe snapping, but they said snapping may trigger people too. They're saying they're worried about jazz hands because the implication of jazz with a bunch of white people doing it may be racist. Come on now. When is it going to stop? This whole woke culture thing is just out of control. When you try and ban clapping because it's sensory overload, as with the Democratic Socialist thing, and then you're like, wait, we can't use jazz hands because jazz implies that we're stealing it from black people, and that's racist. I'm going to try and find that article and link it below, because that was That's a big reason I wanted to do this article. Look, you're out of your mind. I understand there's like 2 or 3 people in the world, or not in the world, in a crowd that may be affected by loud clapping or something like that. But you're gonna change and you're gonna change it, the entire student body can no longer clap to show approval as we've done for thousands of years. You've got to shake your hands. How do you even? How does it even go? What if the person on stage is blind and can't tell you're shaking they're shaking their hands at you? How do you know whether you're doing good or not? and and waving hands has no. What do you wave faster if you really like it? Because that's how we tell you clap real loud whenever something really good happens. Give them. There's going to be a lot of carpal tunnel cases here at Oxford. I am really interested in where this is going because the UK, it seems like every month there's another thing like this, and there's another group that's saying we can't do things like this. And there was another article on top of the whole jazz hands are racist thing that said jazz hands might not be inclusive too because what if someone doesn't have any hands? So now we're changing jazz hands for the one person in the crowd who doesn't have hands. I mean, where does it end? Like, I understand about being inclusive and stuff like that, but you have to understand that when you don't, you can't get everybody. There's no way. You can't include everybody. There's always going to be that one corner case, and when you're corner casing your corner cases into corner cases, you just it ends up with lunacy, and that's where we're at with this crap. The whole point of privilege thing. If you watch this, I'll link this video too, where it's like people get to stand up and say, "Hey, please don't clap or speak loudly or whisper because it may trigger me and I may fall over into a heap." Come on, dude. Come on. If you are that socially inept or you're that messed up, I'm sorry for anybody like that where it's like, because I've had seizures before. I know what sensory overload can be like, but if you have it constantly and you're not taking medication for it or you can't just deal with it, maybe you shouldn't be out at these things. I understand we want to be all inclusive, but everybody has to know their limitations. I don't go to like laser shows and EDM concerts because I know I don't have epilepsy or something, but I've had a seizure before. I don't put myself in the position for that kind of stuff to happen, and the majority of these people aren't. It's not a medical issue. It's they want to be triggered and they want to put up a show to say they're special. And because it mildly irritates them or gives them a headache, all of a sudden it's their point of privilege. Oh, come on, dude. You make it seem like everybody who doesn't have issues is a giant pansy. Look, everybody's got their issues, but the difference is the majority of people put up with it. You don't think the majority of people who go to a stadium and there's a bunch of clapping and screaming and stuff, like a lot of people don't like it? I get major migraines when I'm around that stuff for too long. I'm super introverted at a lot of things. If I'm at a big crowded event, like when I go to an LSU game, I ain't doing anything for a week because I've got a migraine for a week. And that's just the way it is. And you just have to deal with it. That's life. You're going to make everybody bend around you because you get a headache or you go in your little fetal position? No, it's stupid. And it's going to continue to be this way until people start pushing back on it. I can't believe in the UK this is how this works. Because back in my day, you know, being 28 and all, back in the early 2000s, we used to put these people into lockers and bully them when they complained about that kind of stuff. If you complained that you got headaches and you needed everybody to stop clapping and stuff like that, you'd get ridiculed. And maybe that's not the best. I'm not pushing bullying, but these people, like, you're out of your mind. We used to call these. We used to say these are the homeschool kids. All right, when your kid can't take it, he gets homeschooled, and they because they don't develop they they had one thing happen to them like that, and then they never developed the social skills or I don't know if it's social skills. I would say, I mean, they don't do that a lot of times, but they don't develop the skills to put up with things like loud crowd noises and stuff like that because they're not exposed to it on a daily basis. If you go to a big high school like I went to a lot of at times, because I've been to, I think it was 3 high schools. I went to two really big ones, and every class period is a overwhelming crowd of people, loud noises, banging, screaming in the halls, and if you couldn't take that, like, uh, I don't know what to tell you, man. You're gonna tell the whole school to be quiet and calm down because you can't take it. Like these are, I hate to call these kids millennials because they're not even whatever the new gen is, Gen Z or whatever. They can't be that. I guess it's got to be them. I don't know, man. All right, you guys. That was a lot of rambling on like because I can't understand it. But you guys tell me what you think. All right, bye. My name is Gavin Lee, and this is my channel, LeeCast. Thanks for watching. I put out videos most days on current events, politics, and more. Please subscribe and give me advice on more of what you'd like to see and help me build this channel into not only a source for all things political and current for you, but also a place less polarized by political insanity, a whole lot more common sense and discussion, and a lot less two-party bias. Subscribe below and comment on what you'd like to see. Thank you.